Okay, so rock, paper, scissors is like a really cool game. I think my friend told me about it like some weeks ago. It's like this is rock, then this
Okay.
is paper, I think, and
Okay.
this is scissors.
Scissors,
So it's
okay.
like all these games we used to play when we were really younger. So you have like two of us are playing the game. So if I have a rock and you have a rock, I think you're supposed to predict what I'm going to do. So if, for example, I do a rock and you do a rock, that means I've lost a point and you've won. But no, rocks, squash, scissors, right?
Okay.
Scissors, cut paper.
Paper.
And what's the
Okay.
last one? Paper. I think paper can fold a rock. Yes.
Wow.
So that's how the game works.
Paper.
So, yeah, paper can fold a rock.
I'm just looking
yes.
at which of the rock, please.
That's the idea of the game, basically.
Because I'm thinking about Zuma Rock right now.
Okay, hi everyone. You're welcome to the Hope Corner. My name is Moji, and with me here
My name is Ubong.
Elvis.
Yes.
Right, and this is the Hope Corner, an extension of the Fountain of Life Church Hope Centre, and we're here to share testimonies, the goodness of God, and everything that basically can inspire hope. So you're welcome. So Elvis, I want to ask you about a life-defining testimony that you've had. I know some things have happened to me personally in my life that have sort of like shaped the way that I see God and my perspective about the world. So I believe that also might have happened for you. Something so solid that, has become like part of the foundation of your faith. Right? So I don't know. One of my friends, I can share one of my friends, for example, her mom was believing God for like a child for the longest time. And then she went to a church one time and pastor was speaking about the Rhema word of God. And she's like, that's my word, the Rhema word of God, can birth testimonies. And literally, she took that word, like literally, and in fact, started to plan for her child, and the child came, and she named the child Rhema, the Rhema word of God. So there's nothing you want to tell her about God that is not true or anything. So those are some of the things that, have shaped her conviction about God. So Elvis, do you want to share any of those?
Like so much.
So you can just
Okay,
start with
let
one.
me start from one of the foundation. That happened when I was younger, and to me it's engraven in my heart. That's the first one. Because I grew up from a very broken, battered family. Yeah, and throughout my childhood, I don't really have a good picture about my childhood. But in the midst of those dark times, I, to a fact, it might be, I don't want to use the word contradictory, but some people may not really relate to it. I could hear God speak to me when I was younger.
Wow.
Yes. And nobody taught me 7 steps to hear God. Yeah. And sometimes I do wonder how. And now I know better that through His mercy, He reaches out, to help. Back then when I was growing up, I, did this pain deep in my heart, so deep, this brokenness, So when I'm sat alone, thinking, brooding, and I would just hear God talk to me like a friend.
Wow.
Don't worry, you're going to be okay. And that's always like my best moment.
Wow.
I could just cry and just, let it go. But, to my secondary school, and, the pain was still there because of the incident that happened in the family, my mom, my dad. I was my mom growing up. The whole family got broken up and all that. So as a child, 1 year. So that led to this unforgiveness, in my heart. Although back then I didn't know it was unforgiveness, just believed it was this Chinese movie. This something your father or your mother, you have to revenge, It was like a life mission for me back then, yeah. I was convinced that it's a life mission. All I need to do is to revenge all the people that did all the bad things, and I need to take it personal, physically. I need to do that. And I remember one particular moment, let me just summarize it. It was unbearable. I've planned it, planned it very well. One of the days I was about to take that, I use the word execution because it's so clear, for me to take someone's own life.
Wow.
Deep in that thought, I brought out the weapons that I've kept for years, planning, sitting down on my bed. I just pictured the whole scenario. It was very good, for me to take on, and now God showed up again. and said to me that I shouldn't do it, that he can handle it. And that actually pierced my heart. I was like, Baba, look, I know your ways are not my ways, you know. Mine is going to be just now. Yours would take more time, you know, and trust me, you know, it will take like, you know, I know you're a merciful Father, you know. I was just conversing with him, and it was real. I said, look, you won't do the way I want to do it. This pain is so much on me. I can't bear it. It's like it's choking me. And this word came straight up. I don't know how. See, God is the only wise God, because he was the only person that could reach out to my heart at that moment. He said to me, I know you can do it. And for the first time, someone believed me. Yeah, like it dawned on me, like someone actually believed me, believed my ability to do even this wrong. Although that time it wasn't wrong for me. It was like a good deed, you know. And I look at him and say, okay, you believe it? Yeah, I know you can do it. And that word like changed my life. Instead of me to like get excited, like, oh, you believe me, I cried the more. You know, and it got me broken the more. I become weaker. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I don't know how God did it, but my heart got melted. I was crying the more. I was really more stupid. I just dropped the entire weapon. I put it back, and I was crying more. And I couldn't explain it. It's like God, his word pierced my heart and took that pain off me. You know, I cried so much. And the person I wanted to, you know, carry out that, you know, that wonderful, you know, yeah, it's real. You know, nobody knew about this story, for real. You know, I couldn't share it. I just kept it to myself. Was right there coming in. You know, I was just weeping, crying. And I could remember when the tears touched my eyelid, it was very hot. I was like, God, this is hot. I couldn't let it flow through. I was rushing it, like it was so hot. You know, that was how God took that pain off my heart. And, you know, that led to me meeting Jesus real. You know, that was the starting point. I went to church. I was always a church boy, and thank God for my mother. She introduced me to church building. You know, I just love things about God, and that actually helped me. You know, so that day I went to a program. It was a revival program. I think within a week or so. I think the journey has already started with Jesus, but I didn't know. So I went to church, and the reverend was preaching. You know, that made an altar call. Something strange was happening within me. I was having this conviction, this pull. Just finally just give it all to Jesus. I was like, inside of me, if I give it all to Jesus, I will not execute some things I'm supposed to do. You know, I mean, it's amazing. You know, some pain that we may not be able to, you know, verbalize. So I now rushed to the altar. I know to give my heart to Jesus. You know, in my head, didn't really know the meaning, but in my heart, I know what was going on that moment, and that was the beginning. You know, after that confession, you received Jesus into my heart. I went home. Something different happened. Trust me, my heart changed. What we said, try to forgive people like I'm enjoying it today. I don't think about forgiveness. It doesn't take second, no matter the hurt. I've imagined the worst. And I don't know how not to forgive because Jesus did it. He took it off my heart. That I could turn and look at those people that actually hurt me so bad as a child. And for the first time, I could look at the person and said, hi. And I could feel the joy of the Lord from my heart. And the person was even astonished, like, okay. I said, can I help you? And I felt the joy of the Lord in my heart. And I felt the weight of that pain lifted off my heart. And that unforgiving spirit, left me completely. And I remember telling my friend the night, it was like angels. You know, then nobody taught me about this supernatural, you know, Jesus's, you know, ways and his character, whatever. But I could see and know that God speaks because, like I'm talking to you right now, I know that you are here. So, and I just feel the atmosphere was so charged in the room. I was just singing praises to God. My heart was so lifted. I went the street like a mad boy. You know, when my cousin looked at me and said, are you normal? I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I told him, see, you need to give your heart to Jesus. He started laughing. Like, it was so strange, like, oh, boy, calm down. I said, no, I'm serious, that Jesus will set you free. You know, nobody told me to go preach. I was just walking the street telling people, my church members, choir members, I just went to that guy, it's late now. I went to him and said, bro, I know you're in church, but I want you to really encounter Jesus. Because he has touched my life, he has changed me. He was like, guy, calm down now. This is your new, what's going on with you? I said, no, it's not like a new thing. It's a real thing that I've received this life of God. It's different from church, like going to environment, you know. And he just said, boy, no worry. This is your new thing. We'll start with you. Small time, so calm down. And that has parted the way for me. From that encounter, my life has been from one glory to another with him. And another one from that story, you know, I didn't really have a knowledge of father, like not mental knowledge that when you say, this is my father, I don't know how it feels, you know, like to really have a real father. But there's a physical father, like biological father, but I don't know how it feels, you know, because of what happened, you know, down the line. Then I met God as a father. I remember my journey to Ebonyi State. No family member, nobody knew me in that state. And I reached there in the night. I didn't know anybody, nowhere to sleep. And God, the Father, the loving Father who I know as my own shoulder, I could lean on, could talk to. Someone just came out that night and said, sorry, okay, what's going on? You have a place? They said, no. He said, okay, don't worry, I'm coming. And the guy just went upstairs and talked to somebody. They said, okay, follow me.
Wow.
And the guy just, you know, I'm talking about a stranger from, nobody knows my name. I said, okay. The guy said, please let him stay. The guy said, okay, fine. The next day, I went to work, and I was happy. There's this joy of the Lord, irrespective of the circumstances that surround. But there's this thing called the joy of the Lord. You know, I from that journey, if I'm going to tell anybody who is feeling like maybe you do not really have things, you know, to accompany your life, makes your life spicy a bit, I think God is not a reward per se, but to me, God is my source, my life, my treasure. That sometimes I make a prayer, I don't really know how to ask God for things more than asking him for more of him. Sincerely speaking, I've come to that point in my life, I said, God, even if I don't have any other thing, thank you because I have found you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I've said some terrible things. When I mean terrible things, that if you hear as a believer, like, no, don't say that. I say, but I'm married, I don't have a child, I don't have money, I don't have anything at all. But there's one thing that I know that I have, that I found a treasure, and that treasure is God. And that God, the Father, the loving God, kept me through. And I've seen how God used men to shower me love. And if you ask them, my son, if they don't know, they will tell you, I'll vow for this guy, I'll vouch for him. I've had people say, I would die for this guy. I'm not talking about children, married people, family people say, no, I will die for him. And one day I was crying because of this. I'm like, God, I actually cried because nobody taught me love. I don't know what love is all about, you know. I was crying. I was like, God, why are people just loving me like this? And God said, that is my love for you. You know, God doesn't really have a physical hand to just show you embrace. He sent people your way to extend that love. You know, and I found that in God. And that's my consolation. And today, here am I. I'm not there yet. I'm still on the process. But believe you me, God can set any man free. At the point people were saying, okay, back then when I was growing up, you know, go and read childhood psychology, some trauma, blah, blah, blah. See, God can liberate. God can set free. He heals broken heart. He renews. He replaces anything that is lost. Yes. And I found him. I'm very serious. I found him. He found me, and I found him. And forever, it's not about. Okay, let me say this. I've come to a point in my life. One time, someone asked me a question. I said, "Look, even if every pastors in the world, the people that I really revere, like I love this pastor, this man of God, one time, just say, look, I know we've said about God and His love, but you know those things. We found out the real truth that He doesn't exist." I was like, "Wow, he missed it." Because God is not about what people say. It's about who He is to me.
And you've touched that, like you've experienced
for
it,
real.
and nobody can take it away.
For real.
That is so amazing. There's
real.
so many things that I can pick up from what you said. I mean, so many things. You know, somebody said that the biggest testimony, you know, is the testimony of changed desires. And I think that is so profound. Like you on your own, you had all these things in your heart that you wanted to do to someone, and then God touched your heart by Himself. And nobody told you that, oh, you have to preach or you have to do. You just set out and started to do these things because He literally changed you from the inside out. That is so amazing. So one life-defining thing that has happened for me, I mean, there are many testimonies, but one major life-defining thing is right now I see God as a rerouter or a router. And that might be funny to someone else, but I see God as somebody who is able to always direct me, even when it seems like, oh, something happened and it looks bad, or it doesn't look good, or you were expecting something else and something else happened. God is able to, rearrange, realign. And where did I get that from? So it happened through different independent events in the course of my life, but one of them was I went to law school, and I mean, my university degree, I wasn't really focused, so I didn't have a good grade. I had a 2-2 Unilag. And then law school was like my chance to right that wrong, because I was like, yeah, I didn't study in school, but I'm going to study right now, and I'm going to make good grades. And I went for all the classes. I did like the assignments. I did everything. I'm like, what I need right now is a first class in law school, so that, that can sort of like compensate for my 2-2 in the University of Lagos. And after the exams, I prayed, I sewed. What did I not do? And then after results came out, I saw 2-2. I'm like, God, something is wrong here. Like, what? I couldn't place my finger on what I did wrong, because I was spiritual, do you understand? I was focused. So what went wrong exactly? I even had to go and request for my results. That's how I said, please show me. And I realized that, I had 4 A's and 1 B minus. So the idea is that you are as strong as your weakest link. Wow. So basically, that B minus was what made me have a 2-2, and it could have easily been a first class, because I mean, if I had an A in that course. So I was so upset, and I felt like, God, if anybody should testify of favor, it should be me, right? Anybody should say, oh, I almost did not get it, but I now got it. I didn't even deserve it. It should be me. So why? For a long time, I was just like conflicted about this. Like, why would this happen to me? And this is not like the first time that this kind of thing was happening, that I didn't understand, what was going on at that point in time. But then I was able to heal through the process with God. And I know one of the things he said to me was that, to be honest, this degree, you might not really need it for anything, right? Wow. And I can tell you for a fact that all the jobs I've gotten in my life, they never asked me. I've never had to submit a resume or say, okay, I submitted a resume, but like it didn't really count for anything. And I look at what God has done, and I realized that I didn't understand it then. It doesn't mean that God wanted me to fail, but it happened, right? And sometimes things happen in my life or in our lives that we feel like, why did this happen to me at that point? But when you look back, it will not look like, if this thing did not happen, I will not be where I am right now. And I've seen a lot of those things happen in my own life. I'm like, maybe if I'd had a first class now, I would have been in one law firm, slaving away, But God is like, Moji, we have other plans for you. Let's take your focus off of this. And yeah, like I said, it's not that God wanted me to fail, but it happened, and everything just works to His glory. And I just see how, that's like when you're struggling about something in the moment, I'm like, see, it almost looks like I'm lackadaisical, but I'm like, I can't even keep myself. Like, okay, this thing's not working. Okay. What do we need to do? Let's move. Because I know that God makes everything perfect. He makes everything to work out for my good. And that's like one core, conviction that I have in my life, even when it seems like, oh, I don't understand what's happening. And it's because of these things that God has consistently done over time. Yeah, God is my rerouter.
Wow. God is amazing, for real.
He is. He's extremely, absolutely amazing. Yeah, and before we wrap up, I would also like to thank God for the Fountain of Life Church Hope Centre. Thank God for the community, the people, the pastors. It's such a beautiful thing to be, in the midst of believers. And I also want to thank God for every believer out there. You are special. You are a blessing to this world. And yeah, you are our testimony. You are a testimony. So if you have any testimonies that you would like to share, please write to us. Details are on the screen, and then you should also follow us on social media. Yeah, and we would love to hear from you. Till we see you again at the Hope Corner. Bye!